Welcome, everybody. It is time for Board All the Time's Gen Con preview episode.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Look, you're on a product associated with Theater Geeks. Honestly, it's amazing that we haven't had singing yet.
If this is the first one and only one, I'm happy for it.
Next year, when we do this again, you're going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I see the shifty look. So, Scott, you and I are joined once again by a good friend and theater geek. He has decided to rejoin this madness. Say hi.
We're back.
Jason, really happy to have you back, which, ironically, this is going to come out before the episode we've already recorded with you, so
I'm happy to come back again.
We'll have you back.
You're going to hear this voice another time in the future, though.
Or if you're listening on Theater Geeks as it stands, you are very used to this man's melodious tones.
Great Scott, Marty, I have a headache.
Oh, my Lord.
Gen Con, fun time, something that we all love. Jason, this is your second one?
It'll be my second Gen Con this year.
It'll be my fifth? Something like that?
And it'll be like my 12th.
Good time.
Maybe 15th. But yeah, I'm definitely in the double digits.
One of the things we wanted to talk about before we get into all the games, because we'll be talking about plenty of games, is just the structure just showing up. What's fun to do, food to look out for, that type of stuff. Scott, what is your general, hey, I'm here routine? Do you have anything in particular?
The things that I do when I typically land in Indy, after, of course, getting my hotel, figuring out where all that is, when I hit the convention floor, I am immediately starting to look for my people. I'm also figuring out where the block party is and looking at all the fantastic banners because it kind of gives you an idea as to what is going to be the big game for this year. You establish your roots, get back into the feel of everything. It's very much like coming home to me. I've gone so many times.
That is a proper way to describe it. I normally show up the Wednesday before because I am part of a booth staff. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned it multiple times on this podcast that I work with Stonemeyer Meeple Source for Gen Con. Frankly, it's the way I can afford to go to Gen Con. That moment when you walk into the Indy Convention Center for the first time, and even though it's empty, you see the banners, it's almost a holy experience for me.
Oh, yeah. The smile that's on my face when you first walk in, because sometimes it'll even start right off the gate, the start of Cardhalla. Mm-hmm. You can't help but grin.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun.
And compared to all of the other conventions, because look, I am a big con nerd, right? I go to many of them. This span of Gen Con at the convention center, along with Lucas Oil, is by far much bigger, double, if not triple, any of the other conventions that I've been to for Indianapolis specifically.
That's cool.
Enormous.
I love when I hear people that they think that like Gen Con can just pick up and move into any other city. It really can't, because Indianapolis has really made its changes to the city to help accommodate Gen Con.
A statistic came out, if Gen Con were to move, this one convention brings in 90% of Indianapolis's tourism budget every year.
To just piggyback off of that, when Indianapolis hosted the Super Bowl, which was many moons ago, the NFL goes into a host city, is there for a week. Mm-hmm. When the NFL was in the city of Indianapolis that year, the city of Indianapolis, and then therefore the state of Indiana, made $56 million there for a week. Okay. Gen Con is there. The majority of the people are there for only 4 days. Technically 5 if you look at the Wednesday with the trade day.
Exhibitors, if you want to, they'll start coming in Sunday, Monday.
Right. They'll start coming in, but like they're not making business.
No.
They're not. The majority of the people, they come Wednesday.
Yep.
They're there Thursday. Gen Con is there for 4 days, made $67 million the same year. I also heard when conventions and the big games come in, they will sit there and say, okay, we have this many days to clean up from this event. NCAA tournaments are always happening down in Indianapolis. They take anywhere between 2 to 3 days to clean up everything. Gen Con, they put the 2 to 3 days to clean up everything. Our pre-COVID year, it took them 18 hours. 70,000 people were there. It took them 18 hours to clean up because we're just clean people. We're just like, oh, goes into the trash. That's why the city just goes out of its way to do.
But that's a knock on of who we are as a hobby.
Yes.
Of we're going to take care of our games. We're going to make sure nothing happens. Like,
and we're going to take care of the location that's taking care of us.
it's something that I have noticed anytime I have, like MacWagCon, whenever that happens, I never have to do any kind of cleanup except for actually reboxing Twilight at the end of the night. By the time that one's done, I just tell people, go home. It's fine. This is how I de-stress out of it. I never have to worry about bottles. I never have to worry about cans or trash or anything.
Because we're all walking up out with them carrying our hands.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that we're that clean.
Yeah.
We're all trained to put the tokens back in the plastic bags.
Right.
You put your tokens in the bags, people.
Yeah.
We are not all Eric Martin, who's just like, throw it on the box and they'll sort it while you're teaching.
Yeah, no.
Eric, you make great content, but good Lord, I have never had a more stressful video than when you just threw everything in there. One of the best parts of Gen Con is the food. It is so much fun to walk around that city and see these very staid, buttoned up restaurants just all of a sudden be a Warhammer place. Or you walk in and a couple years ago, somebody did one for Terror Below. Just ridiculous stuff. I love the way the city breaks out for it and just getting to eat.
The best thing leading up to the con is doing the voting system for what the hot box pizza is going to be.
That's fair. Hot Box is good.
Hot box is amazing.
I don't know if I'd say it's amazing, but it's good.
I mean, okay, the fact that they're selling it on the street, I love it. And it's
All right.
It's an Indiana staple, isn't it? It's Indianapolis.
It's Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, man, Sun King Brewing, I'm not a beer drinker, but the fact that Sun King does what they do for the con every single year is very impressive.
We have a Sun King around here now.
We do here in the South Bend area. It's amazing.
I will say the best food, though, comes out of the food trucks.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That food truck schedule is insane.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Got to go on Wednesday last year and kind of get a lay of the land. And I think one of my favorite parts of checking everything out is going to the food trucks and seeing just all of the different ones that were going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
And all of the different styles of food, too. It was just amazing. And then also getting the Wild Bill's Cup because that's
You
almost
got to
a
get your
necessity.
Wild Bills.
Okay, so I've never gotten Wild Bills because I can't justify the price.
Oh,
For 4 days, I can.
That's
4 days I
fair.
can.
But for somebody like myself, who I am going to be drinking an enormous amount of water, and carbonation does not do well for teaching games to 80,000 people.
True.
So I have not been able to justify that, especially because it's the cost of a game I could buy.
But see, the whole thing is you get your Wild Bill's Cup, and then you get to take it with you to another convention. I don't have to buy another Wild Bill's Cup.
Correct.
I know that. But I also know for me personally, it is not worth it because it also requires me to take the time to go back out there to it. And I generally, that's not going to be where my time investment is. That said, I totally understand why people buy the cups. I totally understand why it is a staple. It entirely makes sense.
Wild Bills, get yourself a vendor-only area for us to go and get more stuff because we use way too much of our vocal cords.
So much.
I think last year I spent a good $300 in food just because it was like, it's there, it's quick, it's easy. With the food trucks, it fits your schedule. There's always a line at Island Noodles. There's always a line.
Never made it there either.
It has to be decent for there to be that long of a line every year.
I really like stir fry. With the fact I have 2 hours off, I try to use more of that to go and explore the floor, spend some time in my hotel room just kind of de-stressing and spending that much time trying to get food. I've never been able to weigh that equation out well enough to take that for there. But yeah, I know people love it.
Going to Gen Con, it is now like I go and I have either Buco de Beppo or I get, Fogo de Chao. Like I actually sit and eat and really have a good time because it's Gen Con. This is my Disney World.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that Fogo, man, while that may be a third of that $300 that you spent for the weekend, the meat sweats and how much you don't want to move after the fact is worth it because it's delicious.
It's so, so good.
And they come around and ask if you want any more, even if you have your red light up, and you're just like, I'll probably do a little bit more.
This sounds really silly, but the guy that's in charge of the Stonemeyer demo side, Darian and I always go to Qdoba on Thursday nights.
Oh.
We hit up the hotel restaurants on Wednesdays, and then Thursday we go into Qdoba. Because by the time we get there, I feel for those restaurant workers every year, and it is kind of a tapestry of just suffering that we add their stories on every year, because it is such a... I feel so bad for them.
Well, so...
But the food is always so good.
So I was at one of the restaurants, and I think this is just another one of those things that you have to tell people about, is that there was a waitress that I was talking to at Dick's Last Resort. She was absolutely personable, had a great time. She was fun to mess around with, because of course they mess around with you there. And I was like, you are so lively. How are you so lively? It's Saturday. You should be dead. She goes, I work every single day. I make sure I have a shift for every day of the con. And I'm like, okay. She goes, I make as much in tips for the 4 days that this con is going on than I will make all year.
I believe that.
And I went, okay. So yeah, and they do such a good job. They do such a good job. I'm already figuring out where I'm going to eat this year, and I got a month.
Well, and I think a lot of the people that go to cons like this, A, you're here to spend money, for one, and B, you have probably already worked in a job very similar to this, or maybe even in that exact position, and you want to go ahead and make sure that you have that proper gratuity for them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it goes back to what we were talking about with the trash pickup and stuff. It's weird to be like we as the royal, but it really is true. Everything I see of people love us. There's a reason Indy wants to keep us.
Yeah.
Now, the only place that I will absolutely track down every year, no questions, I will hit them up at least twice, if not 3 times, is Wild Boar Barbecue. It's one of the food trucks. It's so mid 90s. It's a black truck with like those ridiculous biker flames on it.
Yep.
But their food across the board, their pulled pork is just insanity.
And their portions are not skimpy either.
And it is well priced. You can get well fed for about $8.
I was surprised at how much I got for that low of price. Also, I like to point out, we did get to go to a place this last year. Eagle Mass Ave was the fried chicken place.
Oh my God, that place was... Oh, sorry.
We just elicited some inner thoughts he didn't think he had.
I forgot all about that place. So we end up bumping into buddies of his who are actually Eco Owl Press, who happens to be the Theater Geeks sponsors. Y'all. Just so you know, you do not get to see the hand motions that are currently flailing around this table.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. This fried chicken, y'all. I'm yawling because it's so y'all good. I mean, I have to remember to go now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just to give you an example, Scott just did the whole everybody was kung fu fighting move over the table. It's good stuff.
Oh my God.
The breading was fantastic. The chicken was still nice, and it's just a good marriage of the two. You know, it's not too dry. It's not too soggy or anything. It's just that right amount of crunch and right kind of juicy chicken.
So how's their hot chicken?
That's what I had.
Good.
It was delicious.
Yeah, he had the hot. I had the regular because I don't do hot. But oh my God! Note to self: getting that when I'm down there because I'm gonna forget.
Yep.
There's this place that we went last year after Saturday night called Sauce on the Side, and it is a calzone place that literally you get a calzone for like 3 or 4 people at a time. I think we only bought like 4 of them for the entire table. They are huge.
Oh.
They also have the most jank knockoff pops I've ever seen. Like it is a knockoff of Big K.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you like some more ice for your Peepsy?
I forget what some of those names are, but it was just baffling and just weird choices for the drinks as well. Red cream ales. Not a regular like root beer. They had a red cream. Just weird stuff. We sat there and ate like kings on these things and stared at the weirdest wall painting. We had entirely too much conversation based around this weird painting on the wall. It's delicious. I would really like to go there again, frankly. That's a place, if you like calzones, if you want to be like Ben on Parks and Rec and you just need a calzone, Sauce on the Side, very good.
Okay, note to self. I think I'm going to have to do like a restaurant search, just the same as I did the games.
The game search.
That's why we're talking about this, because there's so much good food at this con.
New segment. We'll put the addresses down and the times that they're open.
I know, right?
But you know what? Even when you're going to just the con centers,
Just a little food court stuff that they've got
Food
there
court,
in the
that's
court.
the
Those
word.
are actually really decent. Like
they're good.
It's good food. It's
The pizza's
expensive
solid.
food. Oh
It
my
is
God.
expensive.
It's very expensive, but you're paying for the convenience of not having to leave the building.
That's very fair. One thing that I did want to bring up, because I'm assuming it's going to happen again this year. I hope it doesn't, but I'm assuming it is. They moved where all the food trucks were during the 23. They put them below that bridge in like where all the train loading stuff was. It was so noisy to eat over there. It was so painful.
Yeah, I haven't seen if that's where they're going to put us again this year. Because last year they were working on the road that normally they
Is
put
that
up.
what it was?
That's what it was.
Okay.
Is that road was. In Indiana in general, the seasons are winter, fall, summer, and construction.
No, you've got it wrong. It's winter, construction, still construction, and then winter again.
That makes sense. The state tree is the orange construction barrel.
The state bird is
The middle finger.
I was going to say it's the finger from the construction worker.
Yeah. And us giving it back to the construction worker because
Yeah.
they've made me late.
I think that's a pretty fun food dive. If you have any recommendations, feel free to reach out to us at boredallthetimegaming@gmail.com. Yeah, hit us up. Let us know what your favorite food spots are.
Heck yeah. We discussed the food, which, of course, I gushed way too much over. But one of the other fantastic things about the convention is all of the events that you can do. One of my favorites is True Dungeon, which is phenomenal. You're playing shuffleboard and solving puzzles and defeating monsters.
There's shuffleboard?
Yeah. That's
You
how
didn't
they
tell me there's
That's how they
shuffleboard?
do combat.
That's your fighting style.
So yeah, True Dungeon.
So sad I'm not
you're
going this
playing,
year, then.
You're playing one of 10 characters. It is a whole group event. You have your weapons, put them in the puck, and you slide them to play shuffleboard, and that is how you hit the creatures. So much fun. They use animatronics and smoke and lights and computers. And
So
the puzzles
basically
are
it's just a
amazing.
game of catacombs, but for real life.
Oh yeah.
All right.
LARPing Catacombs.
Yeah, it's LARPing Catacombs. One of them was they had these large obelisks that were taller than me. Mind you, I'm 6'4". These things were probably about 6'6", 6'8". They had letters on the sides, and you had to spin them to make words.
Oh, that's cool.
And the whole thing is I'm a words person. Word games are,
No.
yeah. And I solved this puzzle in a very quick amount of time, and it was just absolutely amazing because the whole thing is you're touching, you're feeling, you're sitting there, you're spinning, you're moving, you're remembering symbols. It's a lot of fun, and I've been doing that now for about 8 years. So I have a pretty healthy character, as Jason knows.
I got to go ahead and play his ranger last year, which was absolutely broken. It was so much fun. It's multi-tiered versions of escape rooms, LARPing, and playing some D&D all put together.
He literally sat there and looked at me. He's like, Scott, the puck landed on a 2, and I hit. And I went, you're welcome.
Literally could just make sure that I hit somewhere on the monster's body, and it was fine.
That's cool.
So
I have never been able to go because you normally do it Friday nights.
There's usually, depending on how many storylines there are, yeah, we'll do it multiple nights.
But I've never been able to go because of GMing for Big Game Night. And this year I'm not doing it, but that didn't come until it was a pretty last minute decision that I decided to not do it. You guys had already gotten your tickets. And so, I mean, I get it, but man, now you're making me regret not going.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you right now.
I'll be there next year.
You will be there next year.
it was a ton of fun.
There is concerts. Brandon Lee Mulligan was there doing a D&D game.
I've heard really great things about the burlesque show. I have never been able to go. I would like to.
And this year, there's 2.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, good friends of ours are actually in the one, and so we're going to
That's right. You were telling me about that.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I may actually be able to go this year.
Thursday night, the Spooky. I think it might actually be sold out, but there's a different one that you go to.
Well, ironically, the one thing that I put on every year happens on Thursday nights, normally around 9 o'clock. If you are in the demo hall, you know, the part that's open for open gaming all night, around 9 o'clock, we will do a big game of Blood on the Clock Tower.
Yes.
Oh, it was
And
so fun.
we will play multiple times. We will have random passerbys. One of my all-time favorite memories of running it was a group of people. We were partway through a game, walked up and said, okay, so how many tickets does this take? That warmed my heart because they thought I was an official event, not just a dude playing with a whole group of people.
And see, that's the other really cool thing about Gen Con, because, yeah, there's a lot of ticketed events, and you have to sit there and you sign up for these way ahead of time. And then there's people that do exactly that, and they're just running stuff at a table off to the side for free.
If you want to play Blood on the Clock Tower with us, come find us. Like I said, Thursday night around 9 o'clock, we are going to be where the Stonemeyer demo tables are, because there's that big wide walkway, because we are right on the edge of it. We have such prime real estate for our tables. We'll play 15, 20 people, and if there's enough desire, we'll play a couple times.
There's tons of stuff to do, guys.
And it's not just like special events for escape rooms or true dungeons or burlesque. There's other things like trying new demos for games that aren't out yet. There's just a myriad of things. Make sure to go ahead and go on the website, check it out. And if there's anything remotely cool, go ahead and just sign up for it and go ahead and see what happens.
I know last year you went to an event for podcasting and content creation.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some workshops like that. Hopefully I can convince you to go to that.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at some of them. And in fact, owner of Robin's Nerd Supplies is actually having a panel for people who want to know how to talk to people for getting sponsorships.
That's very cool.
Yeah, she actually asked me things to have be brought up during her panel.
I'm very excited to go ahead and see what transpires on that one too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was just such a happenstance thing that happened earlier this year that just blossomed into something so cool.
Oh, yeah. We're passing out dice. She's giving us dice to pass out.
I better have some.
Yeah.
Find us. Yeah, you got to find us.
I feel like this is going to be tough for you, Jason, because we don't normally cosplay at the booth, and you are normally a fairly heavy cosplayer. Are you guys doing anything around that this year? Are you taking part in the cosplay parade? Anything like that?
I might decide to dress up as Henry Crabgrass from Critical Role. Because it's a ghillie suit and green face paint. So
And I've seen your costume for it. It's very funny.
yeah, it's hysterical because I am 6'4" in a ghillie suit.
The majority of the cons I go to, I have had a staple of having basically one costume, if not 2 or 3 a day, which is a lot. And I have found out over a decade that I've been doing this now, I have slowed down when it comes to that considerably.
Right.
Last year, I did not do any cosplays for Gen Con specifically, and I'm thinking, especially since we are working for a company this year, the only time that I will probably do any kind of cosplay for is our slots for True Dungeon. I
Makes
did
sense.
it last year, which was a ton of fun. I gave an undead matriarch a trick arrow, which was a shot glass, and yeah, I even put fireball in it for her. She broke character, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, you showed up to our Blood on the Clock Tower game with elf ears on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and feeling a little saucy.
Yeah, you guys were. Poor Dusty. Oh, Dusty, I love you to death. I am so happy you took part in that game. I really hope you take part in this year's game. You know what's really funny? When you tell a drunk character that they're the saint, and so they believe they're the most untouchable thing, and at the end of the day, they're actually nothing at all. Oh, I love Blood on the Clock Tower.
Just make sure that I'm not shooting McShooty face again, because I was all about it.